Okay, this is the review for Algebra 1A Final. You can watch this video multiple times. I'm going to allow you to copy 3 questions and take those 3 questions with you on the final to use as notes. Only 3, you need to show them to me. It needs to be done on computer paper so that I can clearly see that it's only those 3 questions. Okay, so the first one is a solve for y question. And let's go ahead and review that real quick. So what would I do to get y by itself? You look at what's being done to the y and you undo it. So there's a 3x, there's a -4, and there's a -3. You can either get rid of the 3x or the -3 first. I'll just do the -3 first. And whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. Bring down what I didn't use. And we're solving for y, so there's a -4 being multiplied and a 3x being added, so I'll undo the 3x. -4y equals -9. Divide both sides by a -4. Time to go. It's funny. So y equals 9/4. Okay, so the second one is solve, write the equation of the line. So remember the slope is essentially the same thing as a m. It's the French word mentor. The y-intercept is another way to abbreviate that as lowercase b. So the equation of a line is the y equals mx plus b. But you're just going to do substitution. Y equals is the same, but instead of an m, you'll put the slope, the 6. X, and then plus b, well the b is a -30. That's the answer, y equals 6x minus 30. What is the slope? In order to find the slope, use the formula y2, remember it's y sub 2, but we just say y2, minus y1 over x2 minus x1 equals your slope. So which one of these is the y2? You remember it goes in alphabetical order. It's called an ordered term, ordered pair. So you have x and y, x and y. So which one of these is the y2? You can actually choose. For whichever one you choose to be the y2, the ordered pair collectively has to be the 2. So if 5 is the y2, then 3 is the x2. If I choose the -8 is the y2, then this -9 has to be the x2. So I like to go in order. I like to call this x1 and this x2. It's just like counting order. I like to call this y1 and this y2. So y2 is actually a -8 minus y1 is 5. Then x2 is a -9 minus x1 is a 3. A -8 and a -5 is a -13. -9 and a -3 is a -12. But a negative over a negative transforms it to a positive. Here's your answer. Your m equals 13/12. Okay, the last one here is use the point slope equation. I think the most challenging point of that is just remembering what the point slope equation is. This might be one of those you might want to write down just because of that. The point slope equation is y minus y sub 1 equals m times the quantity of x minus x sub 1. So substitute the numbers in. The y is just a y. The y1 is the -1. The m is, well, the m is 4. The x is just the x, and the x1 is the 8. A negative next to a negative turns it to a positive. The 4 gets distributed. And then you almost have the y by itself, but there's a +1, so just subtract it from both sides. The answer, well, let me write it to the side here so instead of underneath, so it fits better, is y, these cancel out, equals 4x minus 33. Now, I would never go this fast if we were doing it in class. These are 5 different concepts that we covered in just a few minutes, but this is review. We've done all of these throughout the year, so this is just if you're having trouble remembering it and you need a quick review, you can watch a video on it. Okay, let's do the next one. Are these lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Oops, there we go. Are they parallel, perpendicular, or neither? So, let's look at the first one here. And really, if you have it in the slope-intercept form, the y equals mx plus b, first has to be in that form, then all you have to do is look at the m's and the b's to answer this question. For instance, the m on this one is a 2 and the b is a 1. The m on this one is a negative 1 over 2 and the b is a negative 5. So the m's are opposites. One's positive here and one's negative there, and they're reciprocals. They're flips. If you were to do the reciprocal of a 2, it'd be a 1 over 2. In other words, if you were to flip a 2 over, upside down, it'd be a 1 over 2. So they're both opposites. One's positive, one's negative, and they're reciprocals. One's 2, one's 1 over 2. And if you have opposite reciprocal m's, then they are perpendicular. So the answer to that one is perpendicular. What about this one? Well, here you have the same m's. Thank you, see ya. Same m's, but different b's. This is a 7, this is a negative 2. The b's are different. We have the same m's, but different b's. They are parallel. Some of you are used to saying no solution for that, but remember this question specifically asking, is it parallel? So even though this is correct, it's asking for this. Okay, and then here the m is 1 over 2, the b is 1, but we don't know the m and b on this one. The reason we don't know it is we don't have the y by itself. It's not in that form of y equals mx plus b, the slope-intercept equation. So, or slope-intercept form. So in order to do that, we have to get the y by itself, and we do that by dividing both sides by 2. Every now and again, you have to do a little bit of work. Now looking at these two equations, we see that y equals half x plus 1, y equals half x plus 1 will be the same. So the answer is just are the lines parallel, perpendicular? No, it's not parallel, it's not perpendicular. They're the same line, but it's not giving me that as a choice, so I'm going to write they're neither. Really the same, but neither was my only option out of these 3. Okay. Number 6 is the ordered pair of solution, and it has a 3 and a 4. So remember, it's an ordered pair, so it goes in order. X is first, then y. The x is a 3 plus 4 equals 7. Does 7 equal 7? Yes. But remember, for it to be a solution to the ordered pair for the system, it has to be true for both. So then we have 2. Instead of an x, you'd put a 3. Instead of a y, you'd put a 4. 6 plus 4 equals 10. Is that true? Actually, that is true. 6 plus 4 does equal 10. So, yeah, if they're both yes, the answer is yes. If just one of them was no, the answer would be no. If both of them were no, of course it would be no. Okay, we're almost done. I think I'm just reviewing 10 questions with you guys. That's it. And warp speed because you should already know these concepts, and you can watch the video again if you need to. Solve by graphing. Okay, in order to graph, there are several ways you graph. You can do the intercepts, you can make the t-chart. I think at this point of the year, I'm going to just solve for y. I'm going to get the y by itself and get it the y equals mx plus b form. Okay, and the m would be the y equals m. It's this number in front of the x, which is negative 1 over 1. And the b would be a 3. The m would be a 1 over 1, and the b would be a 1. So I still have to graph it though. So if the b is a 3, and I'm going, the m is a negative 1 over 1, it would look like, but let's look at the other one real quick. It says the b is a 1. I'll use a different color marker. B is a 1, but the m is a 1 over 1, so you're going up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. And it looks like we found out where they intersect, which it looks like it's x equals 1. If x equals 1, what's the y going to be? We'll substitute it in. The x is a 1 there. So it's really saying 1 plus 1. And so that would have to be the y equals 2. Let me show you real quick. So the x is a 1. There's already a 1 there. 1 plus 1 is 2. Y would equal 2. And does that work over here? If x is a 1 and the y is a 2, does that equal 3? Yes. So the answer is that x equals 1 and the y equals 2. Good. Okay, solve by elimination. So I purposely set it up so that they wouldn't align. If I were to write this one under this one, the x's wouldn't be above the x's. So what I need to do is a negative x to both sides. Then you would have a negative x plus y equals 1. Now I can write them underneath each other and then just do the elimination method, which is, remember, some call it the addition method. You're just adding them straight down. X, take away x is nothing. Y plus y is 2y. 3 plus 1 is 4. Divide both sides by 2. And then you have y equals 2. Okay, if the y equals 2, you have to substitute it back in to find the x. Now, this should be really easy to do because it's actually just the same problem we did already up here. So, it's the same. If you look, it's the same. I just was showing you two different ways to solve the same problem. So if we substitute it in as we did earlier, we'll get that x equals 1. The answer is the same. Okay, covered a lot of work, and we have 2 more problems to go. I'm okay with you pausing it, of course, but I'm going to move right along. Solve the system by graphing. So what's missing from this graphing would be the y. So just add the y to it. Y equals 3x minus 1. Y equals negative 2x plus 4. Find the m's and the b's. The m is 3 over 1. The b is a negative 1. The m is a negative 2 over 1. The b is a 4. You just graph it. Okay, so the first one is that we started at negative 1. And then we rise 3. 1, 2, 3. And run 1. 1, 2, 3. Run 1. Draw your line through it. The second one, b is a 4. You're going down 2 over 1. Looks like to me where these intersect would be x equals 1. But I'm not 100% confident. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute it in and see if it comes out true or not. So if I substitute a 1 in, negative 2 times 1 would be negative 2, and negative 2 plus 4 would be 2. 3 times 1 would be 3, 3 take away 1 would be 2. So we have a 2 equaling 2, that works, that's true. Remember, we added those y's in, so we don't need a y value. We only need the x value. Okay, last question. And this one might take some room, so let me use this paper to finish it. It's x plus 1, absolute value of x plus 1, equals the absolute value of x minus 1. Okay, so you're going to write it 2 times because it's in absolute value bars. The first time exactly the same, but with no bars. The second time, the first part staying the same, the first quantity here. The second one, you're going to multiply by a negative 1. So it'll be a negative x plus 1. Okay, so now we're going to basically, once you do that, this problem turns into the one we just did up here. We're right here, where we just added the y's. Okay. So y equals x plus 1 and y equals x minus 1. Y equals x plus 1, y equals negative x plus 1. Okay, the m and the b, 1 over 1, 1, 1 over 1, negative 1. Notice that you have the same m's but different b's. You might recall from earlier in this video, got a bug there, that when you have the same m's but different b's, the lines are parallel. So there's going to be no solution, but let's just graph it. B is a 1. Then we're going to rise 1 over 1, rise 1 over 1. It's going to look something like that. This one, B, is a negative 1. We're going to rise 1 over 1, rise 1 over 1, like that. And they would never touch for eternity. How sad. Okay, the last one here is we have to graph these two now. Oh, there's no solution because they're parallel. The m equals 1 over 1. The b equals 1. The m equals a negative 1 over 1. And the b equals 1. You just have to graph it. The b is a 1. You're going to rise 1 over 1. Rise 1 over 1. It's going to look something like this. It should be very much like this one that we just did because they're the same thing. This one, they're different because now the b is a 1. You're going down 1 over 1. Down 1 over 1. Right? Whoops, sorry. Down 1 over 1 this way. My mistake. Down 1 over 1. Down 1 over 1. So it looks like we have the answer there. It looks like x equals, was it 1 or 0? I'm having a hard time determining. What do I do? Well, let me substitute it in and find out. So if it was a 0 for x, oh, that would work. 0 equals, 1 would equal 1. So 0 is it. There you go.